You're listening to The Three Pillars of Success, a podcast that inspires people of all walks of life to gain perspective on what it means to succeed. My name is Geraldine Convento, and I'm best known for entrepreneurship, my skills in web presence, and SEO. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show. Hey everyone, how you doing? My name is Geraldine Convento, and I am the host for the Three Pillars of Success podcast. And today I'm really excited to have Jean-Marc Saint Laurent in the house today. How you doing?
I'm doing fabulously well.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I really appreciate you being here. Everybody's waiting at the edge of their seat to hear who you are and what your definition of success is. So why don't we start off with you introducing who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Sure. Well, again, my name is Jean-Marc Saint Laurent. Probably will say it a few more times. I am originally from Orlando, Florida, but I'm currently in Denver, Colorado. And what I do is I am a marketing and lead generation expert.
Awesome. So what do you do for fun?
What I do for fun, I love to get out into nature. It's a little bit of an odd thing for me because I never thought I would be that guy, but it's very restorative, especially on the weekend after dealing with a bunch of computers and images and pixels. To just get out and look at hummingbirds and mountains and rocks.
So we're really excited to hear what is your definition of success?
Sure. My definition of success is the ability to fully and honestly express yourself. And so by that, what I'm meaning is a lot of people are able to make a good amount of money, but they're essentially zombies at work. They hate what they do. They hate who they work with. So I would be hard-pressed. I think anyone would be hard-pressed to call them a success if they want to kill themselves. But a lot of people get the chance to, say, do interesting work, but it doesn't really express who they are. So they feel a little bit caged in or they feel limited. So that's the easiest definition I can give, is the ability to express your truest and full self.
I totally feel that. Thank you for sharing that. So what are the three pillars that you feel are associated with achieving that?
Sure. So my three pillars of success are really, interestingly enough, are going to be the three main values of my company. It's going to be honesty, giving, and vulnerability. First off, honesty. I find that success for me is really defined by not having to be dog eat dog, not having to compete with other people, essentially being able to create. And again, that's going to come back to honesty, being able to say, okay, this is who I am, this is what I do, and fully express who that is and who you are in the world. Next up for me is going to be giving. Giving, when you're able to give, you're not able to do that from a space of lack, from holding back. I find that when I'm able to give to causes that I care about, one thing our company does is we give back to an organization that helps people that are in need. It teaches them entrepreneurial skills, sales and marketing, ways that they can improve their life. And so when I'm able to give back to that work, it means that it's just not me benefiting from what I'm doing in my business. So it's an awesome feeling. It's just awesome feeling. It almost feels a little selfish, to be honest with you, but giving is the most one of the most truest expressions of success I can think of. And then last is vulnerability. And this is an interesting thing. When you're able to be your truest self, it's hard not to be a little vulnerable. And here's the interesting thing. Like, I worked very crappy jobs. I don't know if we're allowed to curse on this podcast.
Oh yeah, you can say whatever you want.
I worked a lot of shitty jobs. And all those shitty jobs are really marked by, again, not being able to really be who you are. And when you're doing that, you're just putting on this front. You're pretending everything's great when it's not. You're pretending that everything is copacetic when you really want to hurt people. So when you're able to be vulnerable, you're saying, I'm in a safe space, I'm in a good space of abundance, and I'm able to just express my success to other people, to be able to reach out and deal with other people. Like AT&T used to say back in the day, reach out and touch someone.
All right. Well, I love how you talked about giving and how it's selfish. It can feel selfish
Yeah.
because it feels so good. And I think naturally, as a human race, we would like to contribute to others. And oftentimes, it takes a while for us to really figure out what it is we can do to actually do that, aside from the whole thing about having a lot of money to be able to give away. There's so many different ways that we can give.
Yeah, it was one guy who's been a pretty good mentor to me. I told him when we met a while back, I'm like, man, I'll give back to this organization when I am an ultra success. He's like, you don't have to be ultra successful. Just be a medium success. Just be okay with yourself and with how the business is going, give back. It's really helpful just because there are other people behind you that you never want to forget. So giving.
That's so true. And, I listened to this talk one, is Oprah sharing about her conversation she had with Maya Angelou about legacy. And Oprah was struggling with, I want to create this big legacy, and really defining what that was for her. And what Maya Angelou replied to her is that you will never know what your legacy is. You can say one word, you can have a show that totally changes somebody's life and has them take action. And that's really what your legacy is. So your legacy is whatever people take from whatever you give them. So in terms of giving, you might even be sharing your own experience or your own advice, and you can never know the extent of the impact that will happen for that person and the people within their lives too.
Sure.
So I love that. Yeah, giving's so important. And it is true, give to get, because when you give, you get such great feelings, you're warm-hearted feeling inside, and it's just very good karma.
Yeah, it's funny because one of the first lessons I got from a real life success, this dude was homeless at one point. He'd been kicked out of his home at a very young age, and he became a self-made millionaire. And when I first met him, I was trying to just get even just one customer, just someone to be interested in doing marketing work with me. And I said, okay, what's the secret? Like, what is the secret of success? And he turns to me with all seriousness and says, giving. And it floored me because that's not typically what you'll hear. And it's hard to feel a lot of lack and hardness when you're giving to people, because here's the big problem for a lot of folks. People see business a lot of times as something to where you gotta trick somebody, or you gotta capture leads, you gotta warish or religious type language, which is interesting. But ultimately what he explained to me is that when people appreciate your presence will always be wanted.
Absolutely. And, the thing is, there are some people these days, especially with the growth of social media and technology and kind of the in person interaction that we have, some people aren't really in tune with their feelings.
Yeah.
In your opinion, if someone's trying to get in tune with how to be vulnerable, do you have any advice?
How to be vulnerable. It starts with recognizing, I believe, what you're feeling, and then looking around, opening your eyes and realizing that you're one of this species called the human race, and loads of other people are feeling this too. You're not the only person dealing with it. And there is a great mentor of mine. His name is Chuck Blakeman, and he talks about this. It's, I believe he calls it like a fourth level of success. And it's really about understanding the person the way that they want to be understood. So not just saying, okay, I want to do for them what I want for myself, but looking at them. And for example, if I'm in a meeting with a ultra stylish sales director, as I often am, and they're gleaming from ear to ear, and they're wearing the fanciest Rolex watch, and their shoes are spiffy, and their hair is all slicked back, you understand what they're trying to portray to me. They're just asking me, like, internally, please see I'm successful. Please see I'm worthy of your attention. Please see that I matter. And by understanding that and looking at them, trying to express a positive affirmation back to them, I'm going to treat them, or at least try to treat them like a person who's successful. And you can see they appreciate it, because at the very least, people should always get some kind of benefit when they interact with you. I'm a believer of that now, after some time trying to do it totally opposite skeezy way. I did a lot of interesting things in the past, but people should get some kind of benefit when they interact with you. So that's my big goal when I meet with someone. What we want ultimately out of whatever we're doing is a feeling. The person that buys, again, the nice Rolex wants the feeling of either being appreciated or being respected. So give that to people. Let people feel good around you.
So were there any roadblocks that you had to overcome to achieve success?
Sure. What's funny is when I first moved to Denver, I was coming from Orlando, Florida, a very rough situation. I'll be vulnerable here as I talk about. It was a very rough situation. I was actually living with my mom in the spare room in our house. It was super not cozy, and I essentially said that I would rather be homeless on the streets of Denver than live life this way. I had nothing going on. I had just turned 30. Life was pretty shitty. And then I said, what I'll do is I've read some cool books by some interesting people, and they're doing awesome things in marketing, and they're in Denver. And so I packed up my stuff, threw it all on a little Camry that I'm still driving, and we drove 2,000 miles out to Denver and was living in a Roach Motel, doing that for a bit. And what's funny is that as I'm there, I'm like trying to be success-minded, and I'm trying to connect with people. And finally, by connecting with people and trying to help them get whatever they wanted, I was able to get work and eventually get out of that situation. So on my way out, I wanted to never forget where I came from. So my company's name is Saint 313 Limited. At the Roach Motel, where Wi-Fi was a perk, if you can call it that, you always had to enter your last name and your room number to get on the Wi-Fi. It kicked me off every 15 minutes. It was terrible. And they never got my name right, so they just called me Saint. And my room number was 313. So every day, Saint 313, Saint 313. So the name of the company really speaks to the obstacle I had to overcome, and something I never want to forget, really. Gives you a little humility, reminds you that it's a privilege to be able to work hard, to do something, to create your own thing, to be able to engage people in some positive way and help them out.
You've shared a lot of gems today. Is there any advice you'd like to give the listeners today?
Best advice I can give is the same one that self-made millionaire dude gave me. It's be such a person that people want to be in your presence. It's going to be a big part of it. And I think we get that often confused. I was sitting with a business owner today, and he just kept talking to me about how he needs to get credentialed. He needs credentials. He needs to go to right school. And his big plan, he's like, my big plan is I'm going to divert everything, and I'm going to go to MIT. That's the big plan, and I'm going to shift it that way. And I think he was half joking, but we get it wrong sometimes. What's funny is that what oftentimes helps people become my customer or work with me or partner with me is not really anything I'm offering. It's not using fancy language. It's just being real with them. It's just being honest. And at the end, isn't that what we want? Don't you want to be a positive impact on someone's life? So be honest, deal with people honestly. And if you're not happy with the situation, tell people about it. A lot of stuff just comes up because we're trying to obfuscate the truth. We're trying to hide out behind our masks. Just talk to people.
That's perfect. All right, great. So thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom with everyone. And that's a wrap. All right. Well, thank you for listening to the 3 Pillars of Success podcast. Remember, we're here every Wednesday on all of your different podcasting channels. So tell a friend and remember to share this. Thanks.